Righty-ho then, welcome back once again to the Single Malt Review. I believe it is the 14th of December. I really hope it's the 14th of December because that's the bottle we've got.
Let's see. Oh, the tankard reveals it is indeed the 14th.
Good, okay, well we're at least mostly right.
For
there,
us
right?
at least. Your time zone may vary.
So,
okay, what do we have?
we've got a real pale number here, a very, very pale number. Going by the, eyeballing it through the wee jar there. Oh, look at those lovely bubbles. I wonder if it's all indicative of anything. Look, they're hanging around too. That's a hell of a good sign for your whiskey too. If you've got the bubbles that will not quit, that's as good a sign of good viscosity as anything else.
There's a gentle but sherbety citrus fizz on the nose.
It's very light.
It's got lime.
It's
got
very,
lemon.
very spirit driven. It's quite Speyside-y citrus. What else? There's something. It's quite minty. It's got a
bit of a menthol sort of coolness to
a
it.
spearmint, fresh spearmint to it. Not quite toothpaste, but it's very, very dry on the nose, isn't it? That's quite a Spartan whiskey. It smells strong too.
It is. Oh,
That's cask strength. That's cask strength.
2 days in a row I'm reaching for the water.
Yeah, Dave's just getting nuked over here.
I should add, I have, seasonal allergies. It is summer here. There is pollen galore. There have also been some grass fires and forest fires out near my neck of the woods. So,
and we are at this moment looking at a shedding dog. So.
My soft palate has been assailed these last few days. The medicines help, but
thankfully I do not suffer from such afflictions, so I'm here to soldier through it. This is, well, I shouldn't say cask strength whiskey because it may simply be high strength whiskey, but it is high strength whiskey.
Good Lord.
Very high strength whiskey. Funny, it doesn't give it much away on the nose. In fact, it doesn't give much away at all.
You add water, I think the aroma is just going to explode into like a firework bouquet of, aromas. Shit. Apologies, nearly threw my glass across the room.
Yeah, we've avoided that so far. We're just about halfway. In fact, I think we are halfway now. I think there's peat in here as well. Unless I forgot to wash my glass out from that Kilkerran, I think there is peat. But again, not gangbusters peat, just... Well, no, more than a suggestion. But the whole thing is so light and mineral and ethereal. It seems like not that it's a bad thing, but we've had a real run of very spirit-driven whiskies. Not necessarily in a row, but we've seen between the Balmanic, this one, Ardbeg to a certain extent, and the Deanston as well. Just very, very spirit-driven whiskies.
I'm adding a little more water to mine. Needs to open up just a little more.
Right, that's gotten the juices flowing a wee bit inside the whiskey there. I think we're going to see mist on that pretty shortly, because that, if I'm right about the cask strength, this is probably, and it's surely not coloured, is it?
It's gone cloudy.
That's the colour of honesty, if there ever was one.
Oh, that is engagingly fizzy now. It's positively effervescent with flavour.
Okay.
Literally.
It needed that water. It has improved the whiskey. It has not improved my ability to have anything sensible to say about the origins of the whiskey, except that I think this is peated in a way that is it's definitive. This is a fully peated whiskey. This is not the often touted thread of peat that you get. It's fashionable to have in tasting notes. This is all the way peated.
I would call this one moderately peated. It's not heavily like your Ardbegs or Kilhomans.
Well, it's
not not wanting for peat either.
I think the ppm's are there, so to speak. It's a dry mainland peat. This is here we go. Here's something sensible. This is tasting a bit more like Ardmore than anything else, which is sort of the mainland peated one. Not saying it is Ardmore, but that's the direction that I'm going in.
Right.
Okay, let's see if the direction will be in any way dictated by number 14. Here we go. Almost had a few at once. Oh, here we go. Diageo. Well, so only half the distilleries
half the planet's spirit production.
Okay, all right. Well, no, actually that does. That does, because I don't think Ardmore is Diageo. We said we wouldn't look things up during the episode. I don't think Ardmore is Diageo. I don't think it's a... Diageo is, at its core, they're the classic malts of Scotland, which they made famous. Sort of. So that's your Talisker and your Linkwood and your so on. Cragganmore is one of the off-the-shelf ones. But
A host of others too, though.
Diageo is massive. Diageo is into everything, really into everything. But not Ardmore. I don't know what the Ardmore the ownership situation is in Ardmore. But anyway.
What do we have clues-wise? It could be helpful.
Well, I'm not really getting a great deal of the clues. I don't think it's got much to do with Billy Walker. I don't think there's much in the way of peated lowland whiskey floating around. It certainly doesn't tell me about America. Distilled in a drought, I'm not even sure how to interpret to begin with.
Yeah. My mind assumes Australia for distilled in a drought, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a good pick. But yeah, famous droughts in Scotland. Scotland is not immune to droughts. People think it's, British weather, haha, but it can get very hot and dry in Scotland in summer. But exactly how that collides with whiskey, I don't know.
There are several distilleries with iconic red chimneys, I think, or at least ones that are known for it.
All right, I might have to do another coward's pick here.
Right.
Fully confident it is Scotch. It's not weird enough to be peated from somewhere else, unless it's a peated Japanese. And I think we've gotten through our Japanese whiskey. None of these seem particularly international to me, so we'll say we're probably safe there. And aside from that, I've only got it's definitely mainland peated. It's got that tinder dry, coaly peat. The Diageo, if I was better on what Diageo actually owned, probably would help me, but in this case it does not. I'm going to say Ben Romick, because this is the style of whiskey that they make. It seems more heavily peated even than that, but they're also comfortably situated somewhere that it will not be too much of a disaster if I am very likely wrong. So that's my reasoning. What have you got?
Well, it's been many moons since I had a Ben Romick. I have simply nothing else. I am not getting any strong hints or impressions, so I will hang with your guess.
Got a Ben Romick.
Otherwise, I'll just simply hang separately. What we got?
Craigenmore.
Special release 12. Okay.
This Craigenmore, as I've said before, is my favourite distillery. The makers of some of my most favourite whiskies, well, stylistically. I had no idea they made peated whiskey.
If someone asked me to describe a Craigenmore, I simply wouldn't know where to start.
Craigenmore is where the thread of peat tasting note comes from. It's where it originates, because it is, back before it became cool, Craigenmore was one of the very few mainland whiskies that had any notion of peat in it whatsoever that you could detect. Right. But this is full on. This is balls out peat.
So this is a 2019 release. Refill American oak and peated. 58.4% ABV. That explains why I had a coughing fit. Yeah, that is damn near 60%. That is strong, especially for a 12-year-old Scotch.
I'm just realising now that I've tasted this whiskey before. I've tasted this whiskey at a tasting. Granted, it was a year ago now, but and I don't think that would have helped me in this case. But it was. I do now remember the background. This is the heavily peated make that Craigenmore makes, which otherwise an eye drop's worth goes into each bottle of Craigenmore, and otherwise doesn't see the light of day. So they probably spend like a week out of the year making this juice, but it still gets made separately and cast separately, probably. And so this is one of these ghost casks, which gives us this view into what they're making. This is really fascinating.
Yeah, I can see why it's a special release, because that is special. That is an absolute stealth blinder of a whiskey.
Sadly, I don't think it's great. It's because it's weird rather than it's not my Craigenmore. It's not the classic Craigenmore, which is such a very, very balanced whiskey, of which peat is this tiny, tiny component. So it's fascinating to see all of the peat on display. But in terms of what it does to Craigenmore, I think Craigenmore it was good the way it was. I will drink Craigenmore 12 years old all day and long to the night, if I have the ability. But this is slightly more hard work. But intellectually, very, very interesting to see. So a really fun pick. Whoever managed to find this one in the collection. This is bravo. This is a very technically fascinating whiskey. Okay, we got off pretty easy on that one with only 40 kilometres. We could walk there in an afternoon, not even a problem. So yeah, safe picks, Coward's Way Out. It wins every time, or it has worked twice anyway, which is pretty good odds around here. And as for the ranking, I think, and Dave has agreed. That as much as this is interesting, it's not my Cragganmore. Give me the normal Cragganmore. Give me the Cragganmore I love. So in terms of how much we like it, this goes below the King's Barns and above the Ardbeg 10. But it's very close to the Ardbeg 10. I'm sure there's some really, really sore Ardbeg 10 fans out there. It's such a popular whiskey. It's just, I think we our personal taste. It's just not a winner there. It's
we're not in any way saying it's a bad whiskey. Just out of this range of excellent and varied whiskies, it's the one which is someone's going to occupy their 14th spot or whichever, and
so that's how everything's looking at the moment. That's where we are, and where we are going is the 15th of December, tomorrow. Stick with us.
See you then.
We'll see you then.